a couple of weeks ago, in between classes, I decided that I was going to practice some handstands. So I was in the yoga studio, I had on some music, I was just having fun. And sure enough though, my legs felt like they were made out of lead. Like I just could not get up there in a handstand that day. And I was thinking, what's up? This is a pose that I practice pretty regularly. Why isn't it working? And I stopped and I observed my environment. And I live in Portland, so we're known for our rainy, gray skies, and sure enough, it was a very Portlandy day out. And I also happened to be listening to Smashing Pumpkins, which, is not the happiest of music. Not that there's not a time and place for Smashing Pumpkins, of course, but it wasn't very helpful for my handstands. So I decided, just a little shift. I put on some music that was a little bit happier, and I instinctively just kind of wanted to practice some back bends. Nothing crazy, just some little cobra poses, simple belly back bends. Then when it was time to go to class, I thought, I'll just try one more handstand. And sure enough, I shot right up. That little shift in perspective was all I needed to make my legs not feel like lead anymore. And it just reminded me how really back bends are like these little embodiments of joy. If you think of like a child running around outside, they're not running around like this, right? Their posture is expansive, it's open, and it's joyful. And sometimes by bringing the body into an expansive, joyful posture, it really does remind us of the intrinsic joy that's within. It's not that we have to feel anything that we don't feel or make ourselves feel happy when we just don't, but rather by bringing ourselves into a happy shape. It's just like this little reminder, this little reflection of the joy that we've all felt at some time or another inside. And it can even remind us of that deep intrinsic joy that we all have inside, that we all are inside. That Ananda that is ever present and not dependent on circumstance, not dependent on anything that we do, anything that we think. So today we'll practice a few little embodiments of joy. We'll work with some simple back bends, some back bends on our belly and some non-weight-bearing back bends, standing and kneeling. And we'll look to some alignment to see if we can make these joyful expressions feel a little bit more joyful in our bodies as well. So let's get started kneeling in Virasana. Go ahead and face this way. Yeah. So sit with a block between your feet, unless your seat just easily comes to the floor. But for most of us, block between the feet is a good idea. Good. Hug the block with your feet and line up the back of your head with the back of your pelvis. And then slide your hands to your rib cage. So your fingers come around the front and your thumbs come around the back. And then close your eyes and breathe. And just notice when you're breathing in, when you're breathing out. And notice where you feel movement as you breathe. That expansiveness back into the thumbs, into the sides, and even into the front of the rib cage. Keep that sense of fullness as you exhale. And even find a little tone on your belly as you exhale. Keep that tone in your belly as you remember the expansiveness on inhale. And then join your hands to your heart center. And let's open with a joyful Om all together. Take an exhale to relax fully. And an inhale to prepare. Om. Lower your chin toward your wise, joyful heart. And then release your hands. Lift your head so it floats over your spine. And open your eyes. And let's come to hands and knees, all fours, table. Separate your hands a little wider than your shoulders. Tuck your toes under. And then find the breath full in the back of the body. Start to move through some easy cat-cows. And I'd like you to initiate the movement with your pelvis. Move your inner thighs back and apart as you come forward into the cow stretch. And draw your tailbone under as you round up into the cat stretch. Initiate the movement with the pelvis, thighs back and apart, heart forward, lift your head last and just slightly, so even less, yeah. And then tailbone under, round your back, head last. You might find that if you press your hands down and forward, moving into the cat stretch, that you get a little more rounding through your back. And then if you press the hands down and back, you get a little bit more bend in the upper back as you move into the cow stretch. Go ahead and do one more of each. And then let's meet up in neutral. So neutral spine, draw the sides of your belly back so your low back is long, and then gaze about a foot in front of you. Good, that's it. Slide your knees an inch behind your hips, and press your pelvis up and back to downward facing dog. And in downward facing dog, take a few breaths just to get acquainted with your hamstrings. You can pedal through your feet. Move around in any way that feels interesting. And then let's find stillness in our dog pose. And then lift your right leg up. Inhale. Exhale, draw your knee into your chest and lightly step through to a lunge. You can take as many little steps as you need to get there. Once you've found your lunge, come up onto your fingertips and press down into your fingertips. As you press down, you really get a nice lift and support all the way up through your core. With every inhalation, hug your legs in toward each other like a scissoring action. Keep that steadiness as you exhale and press your feet down and apart like you're going to stretch the mat in two. Inhale, press into your fingertips, hug your legs in. Exhale, press your feet down and apart and extend your heart forward through your strong arms. So the pose comes alive with the breath. This seemingly still position, there's this subtle movement. One more inhale to hug in. One more exhale, press the feet down and apart. Stretch your mat in two. Plant your hands downward facing dog. Lift your inner armpits up here. Yeah, get a little more external rotation in those upper arms. And then inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, knee to chest. And then lightly step through. Come onto your fingertips to get a little more space for your breath. Press down into your fingertips and hug your legs in toward each other. Get strong. From that strength, press your feet down and apart and extend your heart forward. With every inhale, draw into yourself. With every exhale, extend out from your core. Good. One more inhale to draw in. One more exhale, press your feet down and apart. Your next exhale, plant your hands and step back to a plank pose. Pause here in plank with your shoulders over your wrists and your heels over your toes. And lift your inner thighs up. Even if your hips lift up a little higher than you might think that they should be right here, that's okay. Eventually, though, you'll see if you can keep your inner thighs lifting without lifting your hips way up. Engage your low belly right between your two frontal hip bones like you're cinching a drawstring. Stretch from your belly out through your heels, out through your heart. Shift forward an inch. Lower your knees and lower down slow through chaturanga. Slow, shoulders higher than elbows, all the way down. Good. Stretch your legs back and press the tops of your feet into the floor. Now keep your feet on the floor, keep your knees on the floor, and lift your hips up in the air. Imagine like you're doing the worm right now. With your hips in the air, engage between your two frontal hip bones, okay? These two pelvic points here. Like, again, that drawstring action. Keep that, and then engage between your pubic bone and navel. Think like you're zipping up a zipper. Your pelvis will lower to the floor a bit as you do that, but you're not pressing your pubic bone down. Your pelvis is light. And then inhale, lift up, cobra pose. Bhujangasana, lift your chest, let the back of the head move back. So all sides of the neck are long. Exhale, get longer as you release to the floor. A few more times like that, pulsate with the breath. Inhale, lift your chest. It can be a low or a high cobra. Exhale, get longer as you release. So your chest lifts and your head doesn't just stay stagnant, it moves, but it's the back of the head that moves back, not the crown. Even a little more. Yeah, this wheel-like action, and then release. Last one, think of like a wheel. Everything moves at the same rate. Your chest up, the back of the head back. And then exhale, release. Keep the fronts of your shoulders lifted. Tuck your toes under, and then press to hands and knees or plank. Exhale, downward dog. Lift your inner armpits up. Externally rotate those upper arms. And then inhale, lift your heels high. Exhale, bend your knees. Not quite so much. There you go. Keep your knees pointing in line with your second and third toes. And then press your feet down and apart like you're stretching the mat in two here. Good. Feel how when you do that, it turns on your outer hips, widens your thighs apart. Now keep that and press the tops of your thighs back to straighten your legs. They don't have to straighten all the way. From your sit bones, stretch down through the center of your heels. And as you exhale, get longer in all directions. Your next exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. And then bend your knees a lot and bring your hands to your hips. Lift your elbows to the sky. Press your feet down and apart as you rise to stand. Inhale, take a big stretch up. And then exhale, hands to heart. Release your hands and grab a strap. Make a loop with your strap. So we're gonna really get into the nitty-gritty fun alignment with back bends now, and I'm gonna teach you some amazing tips that I learned from my asana teacher, Annie Adamson in Portland, Oregon. To tell you the truth, back bends really weren't that much fun for me. They didn't feel very joyful until I started learning a bit more about the biomechanics and learning a bit more about how I could support my body in a back bend. So I'll show you some of the great little tips that she showed me. So this is a really great prep to start to get into the legs and the lower body and the pelvis and see how that can support back bends. You're going to make a strap and make a strap. You don't have to make your strap, but you're going to make a loop with your strap and wrap it around your shins. So shins will be below the knees, okay? And then tighten your strap so it's nice and tight around your shins below the knees. Yeah, why don't you turn around and face this way? Good. Now, if your strap doesn't feel tight, if it doesn't feel like you don't feel like a little restriction there or a little resistance there, then walk your feet out a little wider until you feel that. Good. And get them lined up. This is actually a really important key for getting the alignment in the pelvis is to line up the center of the ankle with the base of the second toe. So you could turn your heels out just a pinch. Yes, there you go. Now bring a little micro bend into your knees. And as you breathe here, press your feet down and apart like you're trying to bust open your strap. Press your shins against the strap. When you do that action, it engages your abductors. It engages your outer hips, your gluteus medius and your gluteus minimus. Gluteus medius and minimus engaging in that way helps to bring the natural curve into the lower back. It brings the top of the sacrum in this action called nutation that supports our back bends a lot, okay? So just by pressing the feet down and apart here, you're setting the stage for some really amazing back bends. Now we're gonna keep pressing down and apart and stretch your arms up to the sky. Spin your palms forward, and with your right hand, hold your left wrist. Spin your left palm up. Press your shins against the strap, and then reach up and over, side bend to the right. Keep pressing your shins against your strap. Lift up your low belly, that zipper action between your pubic bone and navel. See if you can reach up and over a little more. Press into the strap, lift the belly, reach up and over, and then inhale back to center, and then change sides, left hand, right wrist. Press into the strap, lengthen, reach up and over, side bend to your left, and breathe, full and sweet. Press the shins against the strap, lift the belly, reach up and over, and then inhale back to center. And release your arms. Now bend your knees here and sit back low like chair pose. Bring your fingertips to the floor or to blocks. And then walk your fingertips or blocks back so they're in line with your heels. Yeah, you'll sit back a little deeper when you do that. Keep breathing and keep pressing your shins against the strap. Good. Keep pressing the feet down and apart and lift your low belly away from your thighs. Bring your hands to your heart center. So you're still in this really low chair position. Press into your strap, lift your belly, lift your sternum a little more. Press into your strap, lift your belly, lift that chest a little more. Press into your strap, lift your belly, lift your sternum, and then stretch your arms alongside your ears for Utkatasana, chair pose. Spin the pinkies in toward each other. Broaden the upper shoulder blades, and then lift your sternum. Press into the strap as you come all the way to standing, and release your arms down to your sides. Good job. Come on out of your strap and then stand at the top of your mat. Once you come to the top of your mat, rise up onto your tiptoes. Bring your hands to your pelvis. Bend your knees a little bit. And press your feet down and apart. Good, just like the strap was still there. Keep that as you fold forward and touch all 10 fingertips to the floor or blocks. Keep pressing your feet down and apart as you lower your heels down, and then plant your hands, step back to down dog. Shift forward plank pose. Shift forward another inch and lower all the way down. Stretch your legs back, press your feet down, and then again lift your hips a little bit like you're doing that worm pose. We can get some of the same support in the pelvis that we got with the strap by engaging between the hip points here. Instead of pressing your pubic bone down, engage between the pubic bone and navel and set the pelvis down lightly. Then inhale, rise up, cobra. And then exhale, release. Tuck your toes under. Press to hands and knees or plank. and then downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, lift your inner armpits up so you get that external rotation. Again, that's going to help in your back bends. Lift your right leg up, inhale, and then exhale, step your right foot forward. Spin your back foot flat and climb your right forearm up onto your thigh for Ardha Parshva Konasana, half side angle. Spin your right palm up and press your right forearm down to lift up out of the shoulder joint. So one of the things that I've really worked on with my teacher in back bends as well is working with the head. The position of the head is really important, and it can make a back bend feel great or feel not so great. So we want our back bends feeling great. So let's look at the head here in a non-back bending posture first. Bring your left hand behind your head. And have your hands so that your thumb and index finger are right around the base of the skull there. And then bring your left elbow to point straight forward. Simultaneously, suck your elbow back to your armpit to plug the shoulder in and press your head back against your hand. You're not lifting your chin up, but you're pressing straight back like you were going to move into a headrest. Now use your hand to bring a little traction, a little length into the neck. Good. Keep that. Keep your head there and spin your chest up. Then, if it feels okay for your neck, use your hand and turn your whole head, not just your chin, to look up. Now stretch your left arm alongside your ear. Spin the pinky down so you get that external rotation, that broadening between the shoulder blades. And then press your feet down and apart. Press your feet down and apart to rise up. Windmill your fingertips to the floor. And then plant your hands and step back to down dog. Good. And then lift your left leg up and step your left foot forward. Spin your right foot flat, Ardha Parshva Konasana. Left forearm to thigh, right hand to pelvis. Good. And then bring your right hand behind your head and point your right elbow forward. Simultaneously, suck the elbow back, press the head back, and then use your hand for a little traction. Lengthen the neck on all sides. Keep that and spin your chest up. And then you can use your hand to turn your whole head to look up, as long as that feels okay for the neck. Then stretch your right arm alongside the ear, spin the pinky down, and press your feet down and apart. Press down and apart to rise up. And windmill fingertips to the floor. Plant your hands, step back, plank. Shift forward an inch and lower all the way down to your bellies. And then stretch your legs back and come onto your forearms. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. Make sure that your shoulders are stacked over your elbows here in Sphinx pose. Press your forearms down and resist back. Let your heart emerge forward. Good. Then bring your right hand to a 45-degree angle and come onto your left fingertips. Good. Press down into your right forearm, keep lifting out of the shoulder joint, and then bend your left heel in toward your seat. Spread your toes and turn back and see if you can catch hold of the big toe side of the foot, the big toe side if possible. Spread your toes, bring a little tone into your left glute and thigh, and then draw your heel in toward your seat. And then spin your belly and chest back around to the front. Keep pressing your right forearm down into the floor, lift up out of the shoulder joint. Keep that little engagement, not a clenching, but just a tone in your glutes and your thighs. And then you can even spin your left palm forward, fingertips forward, to get more shoulder stretch if that's accessible for you. Press up away from the floor. Spread your toes. Lift your chest. And then without slingshotting your foot, release. And we'll change sides. Bring your left forearm to a 45-degree angle. That just helps the shoulder not to round forward as much as it would be tempted to if the forearm were parallel. And come onto your right fingertips. And then bend your right heel into your seat. Spread your toes and reach back and just see if you can catch hold of your foot before you pull it in. Keep the toes spreading and find just a little engagement in the back leg, thigh, and glute, or the right leg, I should say. They're both your back leg, right leg, thigh, and glute. And then draw the heel in toward your seat. Good. Spin your rib cage and your chest toward the front. So just a little thigh stretch here. Thigh stretches make your back bend so much more accessible. Don't continue if you feel pain in your lower back or your knees though. You can do a standing thigh stretch instead. That can be a great variation, like a little baby dancer pose, just something to open the quads. And then release without slingshotting. Good job. And then plant your hands like you would for cobra pose. Tuck your toes under, lift the fronts of your shoulders, press to plank your hands and knees, and then downward facing dog. Inhale, fill with breath. Exhale, get longer, an expression of your joy. Your next exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. And then bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips. Lift your elbows to the sky. Press your feet down and apart and rise to stand. Inhale, big stretch up. Exhale, draw your hands down to your heart. Release your hands, and we're going to pick up that strap again and bring the strap back around the shins. I know you thought we were done, right? So now we're going to look at those actions in the legs coupled with some of the actions in the upper body that we've been working with as well. So here's the thing. A lot of times when we come into our back bends, we'll do one of two things, right? So you'll come into your back bend and you might lead with your chin and crunch the back of your neck. And this does not feel very joyful. So seriously, don't do that, okay? Sometimes though, in an effort not to do that, we lock the head in place. So your back bend ends up looking like this, which is not very joyful either. So instead, what my teacher Annie taught me that I found like this amazing visual is this image of a wheel where everything is moving at the same rate. So your chest lifts, the back of your head moves back. It's the back of your head, not the crown of your head. And it's this wheel-like motion. Then when we come up, of course, it's the chest that leads. Lead with the chest when you come up from those non-weight-bearing back bends like that. We're going to couple that with the actions in the legs here. So with your strap around your shins, press your feet down and apart. Press your shins against your strap. And then interlace your hands behind your head. And point your elbows forward. Good. Keep pressing into your strap. And then suck your elbows back to your armpits. And press the back of your head into your hands. Use your hands and get a little traction here. Lengthen the back of your neck. And then lift your chest up and move the back of your head back. So like a wheel, chest up, back of the head back. I like to think about back bending over a barrel when I do this. Now bring one hand to your lower back just below your rib cage. Keep pressing into your strap. Lift your low belly. Lift your chest, move the back of the head back. Your back bending over your hand. Press your shins into the strap. Lift your chest, move the back of the head back. If you need a hand behind your head to feel stable here, keep that. Otherwise, you can bring your other free hand, the one behind your head now, to your low belly. Press your shins against the strap. Lift your belly, lift your chest, reach up and over. And you might even stretch your arms alongside your ears here. Press against the strap, lift the chest, reach up and over, and then lead with your heart to come up. And release your arms. Really good. Take off your strap, and then stand at the top of your mat. Keep your feet on the floor this time. Press your feet down and apart and inhale your arms up. Exhale, press down and apart, bow forward. That action supports your forward bends too. Inhale, take a halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, plank pose. Shift forward, lower down through chaturanga. Take cobra or upward facing dog. Last little flow here. Good. And then we'll meet up in down dog. And lower your knees to the floor. All right, our final back bend for this practice anyway. Hopefully not your final back bend. We'll do Ustrasana, camel pose. So we're gonna use the strap for this one too. And instead of going around your shins, your strap is gonna go around your thighs. The least awkward way I know how to do this is to bring the strap around the thighs seated. Stretch your legs out like Dandasana, and then bring the strap around the thighs and cinch it up, and even a little higher on your thighs. Yeah, tops of the thighs. Good. And then you're gonna come to kneeling. And you might kneel on a blanket if that feels better for your knees. And come upright. Bring your hands to your pelvis. Breathe here. And press your thighs against the strap. Start to move back into a little back bend. Lift your chest and move the back of your head back. That wheel-like motion, back bending over a barrel. Whatever visualization helps you here. Thighs against the strap, belly in, chest up, back of the head back. So your head doesn't stay locked in place, it gets to move back. It's just everything moving at that same rate. Now lead with your chest to come up. Sit back on your heels if that feels restful here. Otherwise, stay upright. Don't want to come into a child's pose right after camel. That's going to be a lot on your low back. We'll do one more camel variation. You can stay with what we just did, or you might add on. Come back to high kneeling. Remember the breath. Press your thighs into the strap, and then start to move back, chest up. Back of the head up and over. Thighs against strap, chest up, back of the head back. And then you might bring your hands to your heels here. Toes can be tucked or pointed, whatever feels best for you. Good. Keep pressing into the strap. And then if your hands are on your heels, bring them back to your pelvis. Lead with your chest, not your chin. Come upright. Good. And now sit back on your heels. And then remove the strap. And lie on your back with your feet flat on the floor. Separate your feet as wide as the mat and drop your knees in toward each other. You can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. And rest and breathe. Notice your breath. And then when you feel complete, bring your hands back to your sides. Walk your feet in a little closer. And then draw knees to chest. And you can rock back and forth across your sacrum. And then place your feet back on the floor. And we'll take a simple twist in each direction. Stretch your arms out to a T or make goalposts if you don't have room. Press into your feet and slide your hips to the right. Cross your right thigh over your left, like eagle legs, and then drop your knees to the left. If your right knee drops down toward the floor, or it's touching the floor, then prop it up with a block. Every inhale, make a little more space with your breath. Every exhale, find a little more twist. You can even bring your hand, your left hand, to your right kneecap, so right actually on the kneecap. And then press the knee into the hand. And then twist your belly toward the right, so you get a nice stretch for your hip flexors in both directions. Inhale, release, untwist. Slide your pelvis back to center. Uncross your legs and we'll change sides. Scoot your hips to the left. Cross your left thigh over your right. And drop your knees to the right. And again, if your knee drops down lower than your hip, you can prop it up with a block. And you could even bring your right hand to your right kneecap. Press the knee into the hand, twist your belly toward the left. And then inhale, come back to center. Uncross your legs, slide your pelvis to center. One final time, knees to chest, just so we end on a symmetrical note. And then extend your legs out. And find Shavasana. Move anything out of the way that's so close that it's annoying you. Let the back of your body settle into the support of the floor. And as the whole back of the body settles, soften your belly so that it's free to move as you breathe. And then as you breathe here, bring your awareness to the crown of your head. And relax the muscles around the crown of your head. Relax the back of the head and the sides, the temples, the ears, the forehead. Relax your eyebrows, eyelids, and eyes. Relax the nose, the mouth, the cheeks and jaw. Relax the throat and the sides and the back of the neck. Relax your shoulders and upper arms, lower arms and hands, fingers and fingertips, fingers and hands, lower and upper arms, the shoulders. Relax the chest and the upper back. The abdomen, sides of the waistline and low back. The hips and the buttocks. the thighs and lower legs, feet and toes and tips of the toes, toes and the feet, lower legs and upper legs. The thigh bones just settle back into the sockets. Relax the buttocks and hips, low back and sides, the abdomen, the upper back and the chest, the shoulders, upper arms, lower arms and hands, fingers and fingertips, fingers and hands, lower and upper arms, the shoulders. Relax the back and sides of the neck, and throat, chin and mouth, jaw and cheeks, the nose. Let the eyes settle back into the eye sockets. The lids drape over, and the brows descend away from the hairline. And relax the ears, the temples, forehead, sides and back of the head, and the crown. And as your awareness rests at your crown, let your whole body be breathed. Nourish yourself. Nourish your heart. And allow the steadiness, the quiet beauty of the breath moving through you sweetly in this way remind you of that inner sweetness, that intrinsic joy that is ever present now and always. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. You're welcome to stay here and rest in the bliss and beauty of your heart as long as you like. When you feel complete, wiggle your fingers and toes and make your way onto a side. Use your hands to help you come upright, just seated or kneeling. And then join your hands at your heart center in Anjali Mudra, bowing in reverence to the blissful, supreme joy within. Namaste.